Hello, everyone. My name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, we welcome you to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today, with us, Angel Rebo, CEO, consultant, TV host, international public speaker, and president of the Wisdom for Kids Foundation, is going to be once again with Brad and Casey Wallace. They are the founders of the Expand with Julius organization, and they are bringing a very special guest, Ochune O. Before starting with them, we want to remind you that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness around the world, and you can help us by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down this video, or sharing it with someone that you know that can benefit of the content that we're going to be talking here today. Also, while we are live streaming, like right now, we have the active chat, the screen that you're going to be seeing here on my side, and through there, you can interact with us. You can ask your questions. We just please ask you to follow the format, the word question in caps, and the actual question that you have in relation with the conference that we're giving here today. Last but not least, Mindalia is broadcasting live from Monday through Friday in Portuguese through Mindalia Televisao, in Spanish through Mindalia Televisión, and English, as you know, through Mindalia TV. We want you to join us to see the channel, see the content that we're developing there daily. And we want you also to collaborate with us. And for your collaboration with your own valuable content, you can go to our website. On the top, you're going to be finding a link. It says Collaborate with Mindalia. That link will take you to a form that you can fill out, and our technical team will be getting in contact with you. We're not going to delay this any further. I am leaving you with Angel, Ochune, Brad, and Casey. Guys, welcome to Mindalia live streaming. The screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Mirna, and welcome back to Mindalia TV, Casey and Brad.
Good morning. Good morning. It's so wonderful to be here. How's everybody over there?
Oh, we're great. A little bit cold in Dallas, but it is what it is. I'm not sure about Florida. Probably it was hot last week, so I guess it's hot still this week. And but full of energy. I mean, I'm feeling a very strong energy today, and also a lot of beauty on your side. So. Really, it's something really special today. So, and I guess it's just my guess. By the way, welcome Julius to Mindalia TV again. Thank you for honoring us with your presence. Again, every time I introduce Julius, I have those chills. And obviously, we have this super special human being called Ochune. So, welcome. Welcome here. Welcome to Mindalia TV, and for enlightening our show today. Thank you, Ochune.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
So Casey and Brad, you know her better than me, so probably you can introduce her awesomeness and her greatness.
Yeah, we want to. We're really excited to present Ochune to everybody. She is, of course, extraordinary. She is one of our absolute master students of Julius, and she is a certified practitioner of the extraordinary workshop that we put out, our factory. We're blessed to have her here. She's here for some training and doing some extraordinary work here, but her energy is phenomenally healing. Everyone she touches, she just has this radiance that comes off of her, this extraordinary intuitive gift. And to be able to present her to everybody while she's here visiting from India is really a pleasure, So do you want to tell everybody where you live?
I live in the, well, you could say Himalayas, as Brad and Casey pronounce it. We pronounce it in India as the Himalayas, and in the mountains of Himachal Pradesh. And I live there and come down to the cities from time to time in India.
Yeah, fantastic. Ocean's been with us for quite a few years now, right? Kind of from the beginning.
Yeah, we used to think that she actually didn't even exist, really, because she just, all we could hear was her voice on the end of our programming. And then we finally got the opportunity to put a face to her. And it's been an absolutely stunningly wonderful experience.
Yeah. You want to tell everybody a little bit about your story? Yeah. How did you come to Julius, and how did you come to being able to unleash your empowerment as much as you have?
Well, I led a very ordinary, average life, I think, like both of you, and but I was bored and dissatisfied, so it wasn't something like major traumatic event that turned me into questioning why the world was the way it was, what were we human beings doing here. It was just that sense of dissatisfaction that there's something more. And so I started looking into that almost 20 years ago. And whatever, we have a lot of teachings in India, ancient teachings, a lot of teachers, and wherever I turned to and whatever I studied and whatever I followed, there always seemed to be a few missing links or gaps, and I wasn't getting the answers. I was told, okay, loving kindness, compassion, these are the things to shoot for. And I said, okay, that's fine, but I know you can't fake it, so how do you get there? I mean, that was my major question, and nobody really told me how to get there. It wasn't, it kind of was, no, these are, there'd be either structured teachings, or there would be like, you just have to work on this and this and this. But even when I worked on myself and did everything, I didn't get a few key points which I finally got through Julius. I mean, my questions just weren't answered, and I have a lot of questions. I mean, Casey and Brad know that. I get a teaching and I have all this list of questions, and I want to know it thoroughly. I want to be clear in my mind. And so I was following someone who told me, well, what about, you better find out why you can't love. And I said, okay, I'll do that, because I know that I don't have that love, that unconditional love that I hear so much about. And even in those days when I knew that I wasn't that love and I wasn't that compassion, I knew that what the world really needed and what I really was looking for was that, what is unconditional love? And that has been my quest, really. How do I get to it? How do I share it with others? Because it is so healing and so powerful. So that was what began my journey. And as she said that, the person who I was following at that time, I said, okay, let's look into this. And I went on the internet, and I just heard this interview, Izzy and Brad, on a summit. And I said, that really makes sense to me. Whatever they're saying, it just resonated with me. But one of the major points that resonated with me was, they said, you are source. And in India, it's very well known. It's like Tattvam Asi. The Sanskrit thing is you are that, or Aham Brahmasmi, which is that you are Brahman, all of creation, consciousness. So I said, somebody sitting in the US and telling me this is interesting, because well, some Indians do have the thing that we know it all, and we have this ancient knowledge. We're actually also a spiritually lazy people, because none of us really follow it to the end. And I said, this is worth looking into, and that began my journey with them. And I have to say that till date, all the questions I have had and still have, always answered by Julius.
I have to say that only a few weeks ago, when I was with you guys, and it was the first time ever I was exposed to the, intensely to the knowledge and to the wisdom of Julius and Brad and Casey. That was my exact same aha moment, exact same one. They have all the answers.
Sure.
They have all the answers, all of them.
Yeah.
All the answers. So, I mean, I couldn't agree more with you, Ochune. Exactly. I mean, no matter what, everything makes sense and everything belongs to the same source that we are all part of. But let me ask you something, Ochune, because what was that thing? Was there anything specific that triggered your spiritual journey back when you were in India?
like I said, at that time it was that sense of boredom and dissatisfaction. But when I came to Julius, it was more that I wasn't really getting the answers. And I had reached a point in my life at that time when I really had reached the thing of zero. I'm really nothing. I'd reached that very low point in my life. And people looking at me earlier and throughout my life before that point would say, "Hey, you're such a confident person. You know, you just know stuff. You have that slightly greater depth to what you say and things like that." But at that point in my life, I had reached a low, a very great low. It was like I had hit rock bottom, and I thought I was just useless. There was nothing to me. And at that point, I also thought, like, what am I showing my daughters? What am I demonstrating to my children? You know, is this nothingness, this zero person that I've become? You know, this rock bottom. And I don't want this. I want something more for myself. I want to regain. And what I was really looking for, and at that time didn't find the word, was empowerment.
So what we will say, Master, is this. It is not so much to listen to us provide answers for you, but to unleash the answers from within. That's the magnificence. That's the resonance. Through extraordinary dialogue and aid in remembering, that is the process that brings you joy. It is one thing to have a belief in something and a whole nother thing to know it. When you know it, joy is the result. And when you know that you are God or that you are the provider of your extraordinary, you will never be bored again. For source or love is not boring. It is so extraordinary. If you are disconnected from your remembrance and boredom sets in, that's a nice message to yourself that connection or realignment is necessary or a very expansive experience for you to turn to. And once that starts coming out, you really can't hold it back. And your life becomes the most expansive journey of all.
Ochune, what would you say, because obviously you are in a very special place in the world. India itself is a great, spiritual lung for the entire planet. Lots of things are happening in there, but also you're close to the Himalayas, which is obviously very charged. What would you say that what's the reality today from a spiritual perspective of your country, of India?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's in many ways what is around the world is people are looking for solutions for things in their day-to-day life. They're not really seeking so much the knowing that they are source. There are some in India, sure, but if you consider our population and the vast majority, very few, the numbers are few compared to that. But I always see that as a healer, as a stepping stone to where they could go. Then they get interested. Some of them get interested. They come out of other problems, health issues, or certain other emotional problems in their families. And then they start getting interested, which is wonderful. Yeah.
And also there's a lot of, inequality, between men and women, for instance. That's a big one in India. Yeah. It's also something that we suffer here and we suffer in Europe and everywhere in the world. There's still a lot of inequality. Mm-hmm. and treat women equally is actually something which is extremely important. What would you say, when you go back to India, how are you able to help people around you with the teachings that you get from Julius and Brad and Casey?
Well, interestingly, where I live in the mountains, the women are treated with a lot more respect and honor than in the rest of India. And where the women are concerned, and what I do with women, but not only women, it's both sexes, it's just human beings, is really get them to their empowerment. Because if they're coming to me for a health issue, or for any other issue, empowerment is the key. The raising of consciousness is the key. So that's always the message that I bring to women, men. I mean, I don't really differentiate between that. And I think that's empowerment is the key, and the raising of consciousness, and that's what I bring to people, or I seek to bring to people.
One of the things that is very common across the earthship, from culture to culture, Master, is that many, many cultures believe in subduing emotions.
Yep.
Emotions. They actually teach you that that is an aspect of alignment or control, is to quiet down your emotional state or the way that you respond to things. We support actually that your soul is the emotional processor of thought, and that the connection to that soul or divinity within is your emotions, Feel. Let's get you feeling. Let's get you feeling your thoughts. Let's get you feeling your experiences around you. And in many of these cultures, they don't know what that means. They've been so ingrained to keep those feelings down. For men and women, there is a challenge in that arena for different reasons. But we always say that once you start to climb in your conscious journey, you will get very emotional. You will get emotional. And that's the deliciousness of the experience here on this realm. And so Ochune is unique in her culture because she encourages feeling. They don't do that there with a lot of their other teachings. It's mantras and mudras and structures and formats and repetitiveness, okay, to control emotions and control the mind. And she's telling them, no, let's get you out. Let's get you out. And that's probably the biggest differentiation. And also for yourself. Yes.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of ironic because you made the comment in one of our programs, in one of our classes, in a discussion that we were having, that you have couples coming to you talking about not just love, but about the emotional aspect of it and trying to find that.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they grow up
so practical.
Very practical.
So
it's
practical.
a very practical
Yeah.
raising experience that they don't understand the emotional connection that should exist between a husband and a wife. Well, that's strictly a Western society mechanism that works within the husband and the wife, and that is just, it's almost forbidden in our culture. And so I also want to say you are way too gentle on yourself. You are a magnificent, powerful being. And just doing what you do elevates not only you, but it elevates us on a daily basis. Sometimes I sit in
awe of her bravery, her bravery in her culture to teach from this vantage point is indescribable, really. The sacrifices that she makes, the progressiveness that she makes, quietly, humbly, sometimes loud, sometimes we get her stirred up. And can you imagine if every being on this earth ship was brave enough to put forth their magnificence authentically, with honor and with love for each other, the massive shift of changes that will occur?
Ochune, what would you say is the most common request you get from the people that go to you for asking for help?
Most common?
Request, yes, the most common request.
It's just to feel better about themselves. They're not voicing it that way, But I think that one of the the major issues is feeling less than, feeling not good enough about yourself, not lovable enough. And it may come couched in different terms and in different ways, and this is my thing, but the core issue is this, and this is what I really work on with them is, of course you are more than enough always, and you are so dearly loved, and you are lovable. I mean, these are things that they've never heard before and they haven't got that space of non-judgment, and they know that with me they have that, so they always tell me, and you're talking about common requests, but what they commonly also tell me is, we can tell you anything, we know you're not going to judge us. So that's a wonderful thing, and to get from them a wonderful compliment. So that core issue really comes up in people, I think all over the world, but certainly in my country, is that feeling less than.
And how do you help them? Is there a technique, is there a process that you take these people so that they understand that they are much more than enough?
Yes, I do it both by just talking to them, and I think I would love to get Julius's take on that, because I think the way you talk and your terminology and the energy you put into your words, the power of the spoken word, I find, is very powerful when I'm speaking to them. And also I do some energy work, which is kind of breaking up those energy patterns of thought, of behavior, of emotions. So I kind of help them break that up, loosen it, let it go. Both at the energetic and the speaking, because they have to have an understanding of who they are. So that takes a little time, but I work on that with them, and that makes the shifts. And of course, then we have our factoring. But before that, I'd like Julius to just speak about the spoken word, the power of the spoken word.
Yes, there is energy in that action. That is the truth. Of course, unfortunately, usually it is experienced that the energy is low and degrading and very controlling. We all know that the way you speak to your children is vital in their alignment of understanding who they are, either feeling less than or fully empowered. The way that everybody speaks to each other. Human beings usually don't really look at each other and convey what they are saying, as if they are projecting an energy to each other of connection and understanding. And it's amazing when you start to just put that intention behind the way you communicate, and they can feel it. They don't know what they're feeling.
Yeah.
They will just say, I can talk to her. I am safe with her. She makes me feel good. And if someone says, well, what does she say? And they just repeat the words, and they're like, well, that doesn't sound so powerful. And they say, it's the presence of her. It's the way that energy transfers itself. And
it's the eye-to-eye contact.
And
right?
to see someone in
it's
that.
the touch.
Yeah.
In the Western world, and I use that as a generality, okay? In today's society, it's almost become not proper.
It's forbidden
to look at somebody in
Okay.
the eye, or even to touch somebody, unless there is a personal connection going on.
Right.
You go to a store, a department store, a grocery store, and purchase something. Nobody's looking
at each other when they pass each other.
They don't look at each other. There's no eye contact anymore in the world. And that is because the easiest way to read anybody, especially if you're an empath, is to travel through the eye contact. That's the open door to communication, is strictly through the eyes.
The most impactful thing you can do for those who feel disempowered is to hear them listen to them and let them know. And the way you let them know that you are listening to them is that engagement, okay? You're looking right at them and they can feel you connecting with them in almost every situation of stress and conflict, in a hurried situation, in an airport, in immigration, okay? In any type of stressful situation where there's lots of negative energy going on, and the people working there are cranky and they're angry and they're limited in the way they're treating you, and you pause and just look at them and say, "Hello, how are you today?" You can feel the energy change with them, and they'll almost start crying in appreciation that someone saw me today, and you teach them to do it as well. Things start to shift. They start to shift. And what they discover is they don't have anything to hide. You don't have anything to hide, and you're showing them, don't hide, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ochune, how do you show them not to hide? How do you do it? What are those things that you share with these people so that they don't hide?
I think they don't even realize how magnificent they are. And that's what I really try to bring up in them and say, look within yourself. There is such magnificence, such beauty. And just wrapping them up in love so that they feel brave enough to come to their magnificence. Because, you know, a lot of it is just, no, I'm just average. I'm not, you know, nothing. So I say there is so much. Discover it about yourself. I'll help you discover. And how do you feel about certain things? Then I go into the detail of it. How do you feel about doing this? What is it you're interested in? And a lot of them don't know they have talents and gifts. So I help them discover that. And then they start feeling really good about themselves. Then they're like well on their way and they say, yeah, I could do that. I could do that. And then they expand. It's basically what I'm showing them is what I went through myself. So it's my experience and that vibration of conviction, which they always tell me, you speak with such conviction. So I said, yeah, it's because it's my personal experience. And then I say, if I can do it, you can do it too, because I've always been very ordinary, very average. And I said, now you can shoot for the extraordinary, because the extraordinary is not something that's arrogant. For example, I tell them that the ordinary is fear-based. Look around you. Everybody is fear-based. So you be extraordinary by becoming love-based. And that's what there is to shoot for. Yeah.
One of the best teachers I found in my life are kids. And kids very early on, they are exposed to, you know, many other kids and tutors and teachers and parents and friends. And very often this looking at the eyes of someone else, or smiling while looking at someone else's eyes that they don't know, or maybe even asking that question, that sounds, I remember a few kids saying the other day, this is corny, you know, this is this is weird. So we kind of start our lives believing or being convinced that, you know, looking at each other's eyes and being, you know, just genuine and authentic and being yourself, who you are, you know, and having just, I mean, that powerful question, hello, how are you? And using this emphatic way, how are you? How are you? Not how are you, but how are you? I agree that can make a big difference. And up to the point that the other day I was suggesting someone on a CEO podcast. I was suggesting a CEO. I was suggesting him, why don't you have kids so that they can teach you a few lessons, and also you can teach them a few lessons.
Yeah.
Because
a wonderful practice. So here's an extraordinarily powerful game that parents can play with their children, okay, is to just get in front of the mirror in the bathroom, okay, brothers, sisters, parents, and stare in the mirror at yourself, looking at your eyes. And you're both sitting next to each other and you're looking in the mirror, okay? And you play the game just of how many colors can I see in my eye? Just that game, okay? Because they have to look and they have to look and they're looking in their eyes, okay? Then you look at each other and say, what colors can you see in my eye? It begins just through a game, the practice of paying attention to what color somebody's eyes are. Then you can say things to them. What color is Mary's eyes? What color are John's eyes? Their friends, the family. It starts them looking at each other, okay? You start to play the game of, oh, my eyes are a different color today. And you look and you look. And it starts to dissolve the uncomfortable feeling that people have about looking at each other's eyes. Just gently starts to dissolve that away. It's massively profound, okay? And you're gonna notice that your children really start to look at you when you're talking to them. They really start to engage with other people. You might even say to them, you're going out on a social engagement, you're going, and you'll say, see if you can find out what color Joseph's eyes are today. It's a game. Okay, and they're going to start looking at Joseph. Now, Joseph might think kind of something's going on, but you do this in kind of a non-threatening way. And it's amazing what takes place. You're going to find your child then starting to look in the mirror. You're going to catch them. They're in the bathroom. You know, they're looking in the mirror. They're looking in their eyes, okay? You start to just do that. Now, how many adults have ever done that? It's a game for them as well. You might be amazed at what's in here. What's in here? It will speak to you, okay? Then you start talking about light and sparkles and movement, getting the pupils. It's unbelievable game of connection, non-threatening connection, and intimacy. Then, of course, the kids are going to go to making faces in the mirror, and you make faces with them. But it has been lost. We know that this is true, especially because of the devices, and everybody's down here, and they're not having communication this way, okay? Try it. Just try it for a month. Just try it for 30 days, no matter how old your children are, even if they're teenagers. Start it yourself. Say, come in here. What do you think about this color in my eye? Let them look at you. You may find a massive shift. So one of the things that Ocean does is she looks at her people. It kind of scares them. You know, they're like this at first.
I don't want her to see.
Right, right. Authenticity is right here. But you don't be afraid of yours. If you want to work with yours, work with it. Work with it. It's a huge process for her. One that she doesn't really even recognize that she does. But as you know, even when you have your interaction here with her personally, don't you feel like she's completely dissolved in you, in what you're talking? Even if you have a 2-minute conversation with her, or you have an hour-long conversation with her, you've got her. Isn't that one of the most remarkable things about her?
Let me tell you a story that she will remember it, or Shun will remember it, but probably she thought I didn't realize that happened. But let me share a story with the audience. We spent a few days together on a retreat at Brad and Casey's premises in Utah, and one morning we would we would meet at the bathroom area. One morning, 7 a.m., the first day, she goes and asks. We met there, and she asks me, "How was your night? How was your cold?" And I said, "Yeah, it was really cold. I hadn't still figured out how to work with my heating system at my cabin." And that very same night, we had an experience. We had a session, a process that went on outside. So it was really cold, and we had some logs and burning and the fireplace, beautiful. The last thing that Ochune did before she left, she offered me a second blanket because she heard me in the morning that I had been cold. So that's the level of awareness that Ochune has. So she remembered that it had been cold in my cabin, so she was offering me her blanket from her cabin to me. That's the kind of human being that this universe has provided us with in the physical body of Ochune.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And it's also the nurturing energy. Isn't that the nurturing energy, right? And everybody is missing that to a certain degree in the human experience because of the busyness and the hurriedness and the requirements and the pressure and the agenda. And they don't think of those things. They're so preoccupied, right? That, like you said, taking that time, that pause. I hear you. I connect with you. Let me nurture you just a little bit. And then in her case, she understands that by nurturing you, she nurtures herself because everyone is connected, right? Yeah. And so you actually seek out to nurture other people. Yeah. Because if you're missing nurturing yourself, you must do it for yourself. And you do it for yourself many times by doing it for others, right? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Absolutely.
So you are also in the Himalayas, which is obviously a very special place in this planet. What does that represent to you? How do you feel when you open the window or the door in the morning, just because of the fact that you are surrounded by that magnificency or magnificence?
It's just that absolute expansiveness, a great joy, peace, and also a knowing that everything is an illusion. Ultimately, even those mountains are an illusion, and you can create a vortex wherever you go because you yourself and everyone else is a vortex. So, but it's just you feel so at home because it's kind of so aligned with who you are. That peace, that huge energy, that sheer vastness, and even just the sheer mountain ranges. They're just so huge, tower above you. As you are in a sort of a human costume, but you know that you're not that human costume. You are that vastness, really.
Ochune, how can people that are watching us today, how can they find you online?
Well, I have a Facebook. I'm very low key, so I have a Facebook page.
Not anymore.
Okay, yeah, for sure. So I have a Facebook page which is Inward Alchemy, and I also have a website.
Say it again. What's the name of the page?
Inward Alchemy.
Inward Alchemy.
Yeah.
On Facebook.
And then I have my website, which is mindandbodyhealing.com, and that's the way they could get in touch with me.
We all need to go to the Himalayan mountains, don't we? We just need to invade her space and become the all together.
Absolutely. Let me go to a few questions we have here. So, just 1 second. Okay. So what does R factor mean, Ochune?
R factoring is really about who are you? Who are you? And that's what it tackles. And it addresses the fear grid, thought matrix grid, level 1, which kind of surrounds every human being, and it's really a very fear-based grid. So fear-based that any thought of even inspiration comes in, it becomes fear-based. So I have people who will come to me and say, I have this thought and something happens and I want to get out of those thoughts of anger. I want to get out of those thoughts of sadness. And how do I do it? Because I keep trying, I go for days, mulling over that incident or that event, and that one said that to me, and this happened, and I can't seem to get out of it. So art factoring is amazing, absolutely amazing in tackling all these sort of issues, big and small. And what it does is, especially the first level, is go into the seed issues, not the root causes of fear, but the seeds that give sprout the roots. And so when we tackle the seed issues, it's amazing the transformation and the shifts that occur from the feedback I get from the people I've worked with. Because after about 2 or 3 months, when I meet them and I say, okay, how's that doing? You know, that issue which sort of haunted them day and night, and they say, they sort of look at me a little quizzical and they say, oh, that, it's like they've all forgotten that it, you know, kind of haunted them that way. They've just forgotten it even existed. It kind of dissolves. And that is why I find it very rewarding to do art factoring for people. And another thing that it does is, of course, get them to their empowerment. It's amazing, amazing.
So in our factory workshops, as ourselves and Ochune as a practitioner, we use our energy fields to help you dissolve those fear energies in your grids, both in your thought exterior process and your interior process throughout your physical embodiment. We take you to the highest stages and phases of consciousness for that clearing. We teach you techniques to continue that clearing for yourself. It brings you to your knowing that your perspective is creating everything in your existence, but to also teach you and show you that that perspective is not locked or permanent. That's great news. The extraordinary workshops will change you. They will shift you. You will walk out of it literally and figuratively feeling like you are in a higher vibration, feeling like you can tackle everything that has been challenging you. And it is a truth.
Absolutely.
Both physical transformation from diseases and chronic conditions to financials and relationships are massively changing through these programs. You can get this program here in Utah with us. You can get this program extraordinarily in the Himalayan mountains with Ochune. It is time for human beings to truly know themselves. They dream of it. They hope for it. They have faith that it is there. And it is our desire to finally get you to that and let you just experience it for yourself. The awe factor, the R factoring of reconfiguring who you are. And it is the most joyous experience that we can implement on human beings at this time.
Excellent. Next question. How can we get out of the thought matrix?
It is a challenge to get out of it without some assistance because you're very biased. You're very biased. You are the one that accepts your limitation steadfastly, not us.
But you're the only one who can change it.
That is the truth.
And so the ironic part is we have to show you
a different view.
A different point of view. We not only have to bring that to your attention to show you how you are the one who is creating it.
Yes.
But then we give you alternatives that only you can change. You're the only one who can change that.
Yeah. So for anyone listening, they can do practices for their own selves that push themselves out of what they normally do, what they normally talk about, and what they normally think about. That is the quintessential get out of your box, get out of your box. But they can do very, very simple things. Go to a children's museum you have never gone to. Read some books, have great conversation. One of the ways that they keep you in the grid of control and fear is to constantly feed you information that is similar to information that you already accept. And it's all fear-based. And you don't realize that your comfort zone is not very expansive at all. Do not fall for things that are just similar to what you know. Go into what's unfamiliar. You've left your common grid vibration at that time. but you must become disciplined in this. Move, move. The programmings that you provide here allow people those options. Listen, participate, think, feel. Even if you don't feel that it's the right conversation for you, don't judge it. Just listen to it. Just interact with it. And without judging it, it will expand you. Human beings get stuck in judging the things that they're not comfortable with. If you can take your judgment out of it, you will be amazed at what you can pick up, and that will move you out of your ordinary grid.
And if there's something I'd like to also add to that is working on each thought of fear and each emotion of fear one by one is a long, lengthy process. What I find with art factoring is it's like that vacuum cleaner. You know, just cleaning up that within 3 days, cleaning up a lot of the fear, which is very powerful and very rewarding for me and for the people. Yeah, that's them.
Excellent. Thank you. Next question. How can we use R Factor to better our lives?
Everything changes as your vibration changes. So your whole life is a demonstration of your perspective, which has a vibration to it. So this is great news. Okay? This means that you're the projector for everything that's going on in your life.
You're not just the projector, you're also the film.
Yes. When you change your status of knowing to a more elevated and open-minded, all-allowing or love perspective, everything in your life changes. Everything. It's automated system. Everything that's going on in your life is you, Master. It is a reflection of you. So if you've got problems in your life, that means you are energetically broadcasting that, and the universe delivers to you always a demonstration of who you are. So the universe is always a mere conscious reflective action of self. This is the best news we could give you. The best news. Because every shift you make will shift your life. Every one. So even a step up and your life starts to come up. You feel better. You get more things. You're happier. Your relationships improve. We get feedback from people and they'll say, I'm now getting along with my mother, who I've never gotten along with in my whole life. How is that possible? And we'll say, because you changed. And so her response to you has changed. It comes into alignment that way. It is so simple, but not easy. But we know you can do it because you are the source of the all.
Excellent. Next question. How to lovingly approach someone to resist that more significant communication?
How to?
I'm not understanding this question. Excuse me.
So we believe that they're asking how to lovingly approach someone who is resistant to communication or an intimate level of communication.
Exactly. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And what do you say to that?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Or should we? I mean, how to lovingly approach, or should we just leave them alone?
There's a balance between the two. There's a balance between the two. That is a truth. So the first most loving approach is to demonstrate it your own self, how comfortable it is and how free-flowing it is. So when you are communicating with them, you look at them. You look at them, not threatening. You don't grab them and shake them and make them look at you. You can touch them. Just touch them. Just make gentle and loving contact. But before you do that, you project out in your own mind that this is a gentle, allowing process, that this person does have permission to receive it any way they want. But your intention is gentle, compassionate, and loving. And you show them that compassionate nature of yourself. What we mean by showing them is that state of being makes you very joyous and very happy. Be happy around them. They're going to want to know why you're so damn happy. What's going on with you? You know, some kind of a secret. And that starts the invitation. Then you don't throw everything at them and they go running because they can't carry everything, okay? That just that gentle invitation of dropping some suggestions. But if you are not living the demonstration authentically of what you're trying to tell them, it doesn't work. That's the problem. Usually when people start to shove teachings down someone's throat, they aren't even living the teachings themselves. That becomes the resistance. Because the person will go, well, this isn't even, obviously this isn't even working for you. Why should I receive it? But when you are becoming the most enlightened being, they're gonna wanna know what you're doing, okay? And it's gentle, it's compassionate, but it's steadfast. You must always be your own progressive self. It'll naturally bring them along. Now, if you do have somebody who's absolutely resistant, let's say somebody is very self-destructive to themselves. My child harms themselves in some way. They have completely disconnected themselves. There's no communication whatsoever, okay? You must start to implement what we want to call environmental changes for your child. If you cannot start to shift the vibration between the two of you, you start to move the vibration in your environment up. And there's many ways to do that. You can do that with sound. You can do that with light. You can do that with sense. You can change an environment and start to make it loving and welcoming. And there's many ways for you to do this. And that child or that person who's very resistant will start to feel some of that energy. They'll start to feel it. Environments are vital. And again, human beings have gotten very lazy in this area. They've gotten away from baking the bread and you smell it when you walk in. They've gotten away from music playing in the background. It's a cold, sterile environment that helps to solidify the foundation of disconnection in another. So you start to get to be creative here. Isn't that wonderful? And let's give you a big energetic hug every time you're around the environment, and they're gonna want to know what the secrets are.
And could I also put in just a little thing about love and fear? A lot of people stay away from love, or they say, okay, we don't really want to go in that direction because it's so weak. You become so weak, you know. And then part of my whole dialogue with them is to say that actually fear is very weakening. You may be very violent, you may be very aggressive when you're in fear, but it's a very weak state of being. And it's love that's empowering. And that's the whole thing, that there is this huge connotation of love being a very weak, submissive, giving, and not receiving anything, which I think has to be dismantled also.
Yeah, you're right. Love could be perceived as vulnerability, but it's actually fear that's the most vulnerable state.
Yes. Oh, yes.
You are always afraid of being harmed when you are in fear, where when you are in love, you know you cannot be harmed.
Absolutely.
It's a steadfastness, a strength.
Yeah.
Excellent. We have reached the end of our wonderful conversation today. I wanted to say, thank you very much, Ochune. Time has really literally flown today. It's amazing how fast this has gone. Thank you for being with us today.
And thank you. Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
And, Casey and Brad and Julius, where can we find you online, please?
expandwithjulius.com.
Yeah. You can click on the R factoring information. Ochune is also connected to our website. So if you have any problems connecting with Ochune, you can do it through support at expandwithjulius.com. Check out our Facebook page, expandwithjulius.com, and you'll check out Mindalia there as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. So thank you. Thank you very much to all of you. And again, this is Angel Rivo with Mindalia TV. This is Thanksgiving week here in the US, so happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thank you so much for following us every single day, and have a wonderful day. See you soon. Bye-bye.